General Hospital spoilers tease that one of the most compelling developments currently shaking up Port Charles is a sweeping shift in the storyline's momentum. Triggered by an unexpected yet epic event, the return of actress Kelly Thiebaud as Britt Westbourne. This is not merely the reappearance of a beloved character. Britt's confirmed comeback has immediately set off a ripple effect, dramatically impacting the entire narrative structure. A chain reaction of actions, relationships, schemes, and adjustments among key characters is unfolding, as if Britt's return is the proverbial stone cast into still waters, creating ever-expanding ripples that are plunging everything into a meticulously calculated new chaos. This is no random return. In the world of General Hospital, where death is often only the beginning of a new chapter rather than the end, confirmation that Britt is alive, or reappearing in any form, signals that something much bigger is being orchestrated. Those who witnessed her sacrifice to save Jocelyn from the hook believed it was a noble, complete, and irreversible death. But because it was too perfect, too emotional, the moment the news of her return started circulating, fans sensed that her death was merely one part of a larger narrative, the writer's calculated artistic misdirection meant to distract both characters and viewers alike, setting the stage for a shocking counterstrike. Kelly Thiebaud's return is forcing General Hospital to recalibrate the behaviors of many major characters. Jason, who thought he had buried all unresolved feelings for Britt, now has to confront the reality that she may come back just as he's rebuilding his life from ruins. This opens the door for an intense emotional confrontation between Jason, the man burdened by his past, and Britt, a woman who has returned from the dead with a journey no one fully knows. Jocelyn, once protected by Britt, now must face a different version of her savior, someone who may harbor darker secrets, someone who is no longer the Britt she once knew. For characters like Anna, Sunny, and even members of the hospital's medical staff, Britt's return could mean the revival of past mistakes and unresolved vendettas. The new direction of General Hospital is also evident in its pacing. From what looked like a wrapping up of old storylines, we now see everything opening up again, faster, edgier, and more unpredictable. Britt's return is not just a sensational twist, but a long-term strategic move that has the potential to connect seemingly unrelated plotlines, highlight underlying conflicts, and breathe new life into relationships that had stalled. Britt herself, if truly alive, cannot simply return to Port Charles as if nothing happened. She died a symbolic death, and if she survived, then her disappearance must carry a massive secret. Where was she? Who saved her? Why didn't she make contact? Has she been changed, psychologically or in purpose, during her absence? Answers to these questions will become the fuel for a wild storyline where Britt is no longer the victim or hero, but a potentially dangerous wild card, possibly even a key player in a larger organization now targeting Port Charles. If this proves true, then Kelly Thiebaud's return is an early warning of a new narrative cycle, one where every character, from Jason, Carly, and Liz to the younger generation like Trina, Dex, and Spencer, could be pulled in different directions. This is a return that carries weight, not just emotionally but strategically. It revives memories and forces characters to confront truths they never dared imagine. In General Hospital, where death is temporary and forgiveness is never easy, Britt doesn't return to start over, she returns to finish what was never begun. And so, from what seemed like a simple announcement of Kelly Thiebaud's return, a storm of storyline upheaval has begun to form. The changes underway go beyond plot mechanics, they signal a total shift in emotion, power, and the future of the entire town. Britt isn't back for reconciliation. She's back to change everything, and Port Charles, despite being no stranger to turmoil, may not be ready for what's coming. The narrative in Port Charles is reaching a dramatic turning point following a new confirmation that has set off a chain of strategic changes across the entire storyline, and at the center of it all is none other than Britt. Kelly Thiebaud's official return to General Hospital isn't just a surprising move, it's a clear statement, a narrative earthquake is silently rising. This is no longer a rumor, no longer vague fan speculation. It's a concrete step, carrying both emotional and strategic weight, meticulously planned by the GH writing team. One of the clearest signs of change is how the entire storyline appears to be adapting to Britt's return. This isn't just about bringing a beloved character back, it's about redefining her role in a world that's evolving by the day. Every plot thread is starting to shift. And each character is being pushed into reaction mode, creating a domino effect that could dismantle all the old structures. Britt isn't returning to repeat herself. She's coming back with a new direction, a possibly altered identity, and an untold past, one that will be woven into a cold, calculated, and shock-filled narrative that no one can see coming. A central element of this recalibration lies in the Britt-Jason dynamic. Once an emotional gray area that never had the chance to fully develop. Their connection is now pushing Jason's story into a new spiral. Jason, who has himself returned from the dead, whose assassin's heart was once softened by Britt, is now being forced to confront a truth he believed was sealed forever. Britt's return doesn't just revive feelings he tried to bury. It places him in danger, because if she truly survived that tragic death, then someone must have saved her, hidden her, and maybe even used her for darker purposes. This brings about a new obsession. A growing unease within Jason, not from an external threat, but from within. He doesn't know who he'll face when Britt returns, the woman he once trusted, or a new persona bearing her face but molded, reconditioned, or manipulated by forces beyond his reach. And if that's the case, Britt might no longer be the one he needs to protect, but the one who forces him to make the harshest decisions he's ever avoided. Britt's return doesn't just impact Jason, it threatens to shatter the fragile balance between Port Charles's various power players. Those who once stood as allies, who thought the Britt-Jason story had closed, must now face a duo capable of redefining the entire battlefield. Carly, Liz, even Sunny, all have their own histories with Jason. And Britt's new presence could be the trigger for a series of psychological and political explosions. But it doesn't stop there. Britt carries an unseen threat, part of a buried past. A hidden relationship, an erased memory, or even a secret alliance she had to join during her disappearance. The writer's intentions are clear, they don't just want Britt to return as a survivor, but as a key link in a deeper, more disruptive conspiracy that could tilt the axis of the main storyline. And so, in the brief moment when news of Britt's return was confirmed, General Hospital began to shift. A wave of transformation is erupting, not with loud bangs, but in subtle glances, cut-off conversations, and haunting silences. All signs point to Britt stepping once again into the center of the Port Charles universe, and this time, she isn't just returning. She's bringing with her obsession, calculation, and a new story set to burn everything down. Britt will continue her love story with Jason, but this time, it's not just the revival of an unfinished romance, it's a whirlwind pulling them both into a brutal battle between the past, survival, and the shadowy forces quietly rising in Port Charles. Britt's return, seemingly a miracle, a reward for broken hearts, is actually the spark igniting a series of covert calculations triggered with chilling precision. The woman who once fell to save Jocelyn from the hook now emerges from death with seasoned eyes and a heart forged by truths that never had a chance to be told. And when Jason learns she is alive, a part of him, a part he thought he had long buried, begins to stir once more. But this also means Jason must face an entirely new reality. Drawn into the haunting and strategic plot Britt now carries with her. One of the biggest shocks is when Jason realizes that Britt's return is far from harmless. The wounds, the losses, and the things she witnessed during her time, dead, don't simply vanish because she still breathes. She has changed. And so has he. Their bond remains, perhaps even stronger than before. But it's no longer a relationship filled with hope. Now between them lie unspoken memories, hidden conspiracies, and invisible scars weighing down every touch. Britt hasn't returned just to love, she's returned to survive, to expose the darkness that once swallowed her whole. And Jason, with his never-resting instinct to protect, knows that if he doesn't act, the woman he loves could vanish again, this time, for good. The new arc is built by pushing Jason into a situation from which there is no retreat. He is no longer the man of easy choices. He's torn between loyalty to his remaining loved ones, immediate threats, and unanswered questions about why Britt survived. Where has she been all this time? Who kept her hidden? And why return now? These questions aren't Jason's alone, they quietly infiltrate the minds of Sunny, Carly, and even Sam and Liz, those who once believed the chapter between Jason and Britt was closed. But when Britt returns, when her eyes meet Jason's for the first time after everything, the world stands still. No explanation is strong enough. No reason can extinguish Jason's urge to protect her again. And that's when the new obsession begins to burn. Jason is thrust into a parallel world, where love is no longer just emotion but a conflicted journey between survival and sacrifice. He must choose. Continue the life he rebuilt after returning from the dead, or descend again into the darkness, where unseen enemies are using Britt as bait to pull him away from safety. But Jason has never been one to stand aside when someone he loves is in danger. And this time is no different. He will fight, sacrifice, and even cross moral lines if it means Britt can live, not just survive, but truly live as herself. Their love story is now the heart of one of the biggest conspiracies brewing in Port Charles. Underground organizations, stolen data, illegal medical experiments, all may be tied to Britt's disappearance and return. And Jason, with his skills, instincts, and still healing wounds, is the only one who can break that chain. He's not just rescuing her from enemies, but also from her own past mistakes, the ones that nearly destroyed her. And in doing so, they will redefine their love. No longer soft smiles, but silent unity in the storm. A bloodied hand held tight, an understanding gaze in a world turned cold. And in the midst of explosions, exposed secrets, and inevitable betrayals, Britt and Jason will forge something untouchable, a love born in darkness, revived by pain, and transformed into the only light they refuse to let go. When the story reaches its climax, when the truth comes to light, viewers will realize, Britt and Jason are not just two people who found each other. They are two halves of a storm. And only by walking together can they control it, or let it destroy Port Charles as we know it. Kelly Thiebaud has shocked the General Hospital fan community by revealing the first clues about a brand new storyline for Britt, a plotline that brings a massive wave of change. Not only for Britt but for several key characters in the turbulent world of Port Charles. Early teasers show that Britt's return isn't just emotional payoff or nostalgic fan service, it's a calculated move triggering a domino effect centered around a major secret involving Sasha and her newborn baby. No one expected that Britt, the fallen hero remembered with reverence, would be the one holding the most important piece of Sasha's puzzle. Everyone believed Britt was dead, and that the baby's arrival was a miracle following a string of tragedies. But what Kelly Thiebaud has hinted turns everything upside down. Britt may have helped save the baby's life, either through a secret medical intervention or by hiding the truth from a threatening force determined to eliminate the child. That revelation instantly transforms Britt from a nostalgic symbol into a new player in the life-or-death struggle between light and shadow. The emerging storyline suggests that Britt's survival wasn't simply a miracle, it was the result of a chain of covert events she was forced to take part in. Possibly under the supervision of a mysterious medical organization, or even the WSB. During her supposed death, Britt wasn't lying dormant in a tomb of memories, she was alive, fighting, and witnessing truths no one else was allowed to know. And in a fateful moment, she saved the life of a child whose very existence is tied to a far darker conspiracy than anyone could have imagined. The fact that Britt is the one who saved Sasha's baby flips everything on its head. It doesn't just impact Jason, who is already caught between love and duty, it also shakes up the intricate power structures within the Corinthos and Quartermain families. And among underworld figures like Sunny. Sasha, who is struggling to maintain stability after so many losses, is now drawn into a new whirlwind. She must face the truth about the child she thought was lost, or safe, and wrestle with the complex emotions of learning that Britt is the only person who can help her understand it all. This marks a significant narrative shift, forcing every character to reassess their role. Britt is no longer the sharp-tongued Britt of old, nor merely a one-time hero. She is now a character carrying knowledge, history, and the power to alter the future of an entire generation within General Hospital. Saving the child isn't just an act of compassion, it's the trigger for a series of upcoming moves that Kelly Thiebaud has cryptically teased with, "Everything you thought you knew will be rewritten." The plot is, quite literally, exploding. New revelations are breaking old storylines or pushing them into deeper complexity. If Britt truly holds the secret about the baby's identity or whereabouts, her return is the catalyst for a legal, moral, and emotional war unlike anything the show has seen. Jason could find himself caught between Britt and Sasha. Carly may realize she's losing influence. And Sunny, as always, won't stay on the sidelines when private matters evolve into high-stakes strategy in enemy hands. Britt's return, along with the bombshell that she saved Sasha's baby, is quickly becoming the center of one of General Hospital's most dramatic seasons yet. And as characters' actions and motivations shift in response to this, audiences can prepare for a whirlwind of events where the lines between life and death, love and betrayal, compassion and manipulation, blur completely. At the heart of it all, Britt steps calmly into the light, not just a survivor, not just a secret keeper, but the flame about to burn down the falsehoods once believed to be truth. Jason is bracing for one of the biggest shocks of his life, not a shootout or a betrayal from the underworld he knows so well, but the shocking return of Britt. The woman he once loved deeply but whom he was forced to leave behind in a bloody and wounded past. Britt's return from the dead is not just a miracle to Jason, but the beginning of a storm that is about to sweep away the old order in Port Charles. And when Jason realizes that her return was no accident, that she survived for a reason, that she carries a secret that could change the fate of the people he's tried to protect, he has no choice but to act. But this time, Jason won't be fighting alone. Britt is not just his lover, but a game changer, a woman who's become his inseparable half. The most obvious change comes from Jason himself. The quiet man, who usually acts only out of protective instinct and an unwritten code of honor, is now adjusting to a new reality. He can't deny that Britt's return has awakened a part of him that he thought had long died, a part of his heart that had been buried under layers of duty, sacrifice, and obligation. But this time, love is no longer a mere emotion, it's a force. A new energy is coursing through Jason's veins, making him fiercer, more alert, and more dangerous than ever. Because by his side is Britt, someone who not only knows who he is, but is willing to fight alongside him, confront the world, and even break the rules Jason once lived by to protect what they believe is right. The story they're living isn't a fairy tale resurrected, but a reboot of a relationship that was revolutionary from the start. Britt doesn't return to be a forgiven or regretted ex, she returns as an active agent, with a clear agenda. A memory of what pushed her to the brink, and a desire to turn things around. And that's what throws Jason into a new spiral. He must not only decipher what really happened to Britt during the time she was missing, but also unravel her connection to Sasha's child, hidden medical secrets, and the forces that want to suppress any trace of her. Jason understands that this fight isn't just about lives, it's about the truth. And he will be the one to protect that woman to the end. The combination of Britt and Jason is now considered a power alliance, not simply because they love each other, but because they complement each other perfectly. Jason has strategy, loyalty, and a killer instinct that has been honed through many close calls with death. Britt has intelligence, toughness, and a keen sense of what lies ahead. They are light and dark, logic and intuition, action and planning. When they stand together, Port Charles knows that a new era is dawning, one in which power is no longer held by those who once controlled the game like Sunny, Carly, or Anna, but is redistributed to those who were once seen as exceptions, outsiders, unpredictable. It is that unpredictability that makes Jason and Britt so dangerous. They are not bound by old history or false moral expectations. They fight for each other, for the truth, and for the future. And that is what scares the dark forces. When Jason, once invincible when he went it alone, is joined by someone who not only understands him but can shake the system from within, the entire power structure of Port Charles begins to crack. Those who thought Jason would be alone forever, that his heart had died along with Britt, will now see a completely different version of himself, a Jason who is no longer willing to stand aside. No longer willing to lose anyone he loves. The deeper Jason goes on this journey, the more he realizes that his love for Britt has never faded, it has only been frozen by tragedy. And now, as the ice melts, the fire inside him burns brighter than ever. He will not let anyone take her from him again. She survived, she fought, and now it is his turn to fight for her. And if anyone dares to stand in his way, Jason Morgan will make them understand that there is nothing more dangerous than a man who has lost everything, and has just found the one thing he cannot afford to lose again. In the new season of General Hospital, Jason and Britt are more than a couple. They are the center. The earthquake. A symbol of a new era, where love is no longer a weakness, but the sharpest weapon, when held in the hands of those who are not afraid to lose themselves.